So what is the difference then between goals and objectives in a corporation? Let's give an example. Imagine our sales department has a goal of selling 1 million. Whatever the million means, just 1 million, right? And I have a meeting with my sales director and I ask him, okay, your goal, we both know it's to sell 1 million by the end of the year. What are you going to do? And my sales director tells me, so Louis, what I'm going to do is I have 10 salespeople and I will make them all sell 100,000 multiplied by 10. That should make the 1 million. I say, great. Let's assume the name of the guy is Brian. Okay, Brian, great. We're still at goals. This is a sub-goal of this one, a sub-goal, but it's still goals. What are you going to do, Brian? Then Brian tells me, well, I'm going to have my people visiting 50 customers a week. Let's imagine it's possible, or a day, whatever, okay? And I say, well, maybe 500 would be better. 500 customers a week, right? Whatever. The number is not important. And I say, okay, Brian, great. You say you want to visit 500 customers a week. Great, Brian, we're still at goals. This is still goals. It's a sub and a sub goal, but it's still at goals. Nothing of this depends on you and your team. What is your team going to do? And he tells me, right, we're going to visit, we're going to call, phone calls. This is a phone call. Imagine a week, 2,500 customers a week. Okay, don't pay too much attention to the number, whatever, okay? And I say, I've changed colors. And I say, Brian, picking up the phone and calling 2,500 customers, that only depends on you. We are at the first objective. Now, what are we going to do? So that objective maximizes the possibility of achieving one of these goals. For instance, the one of visiting 500 customers a week or a month or whatever. And Brian says, okay, Louis, what I'm going to do is I'm going to train our people in telephone calls. I'm going to teach them how to be more effective in sales calls, telephone sales calls. I'll say, okay, Brian, great. Second objective. We have one objective and a second objective. All the goals only depend on this. So this is wishful thinking for the moment. Of course, we all want to achieve 500 customers a week, 100,000 for each salesperson, and 1 million for the whole lot. Yet, what we must focus upon is on the training of the telephone calls and on the 2,500 calls to customers. And now, we have another goal, another objective that appears, is that imagine we train the people so well, and we're going to focus on that, and that's an objective, that we start being really fantastic on the phone, that we do really achieve, because of what we're doing here in the red ones, we do achieve the 500 a week or a month. Now we can have a new objective. What are you going to do? for your people to be very effective in the face-to-face calls. And let's imagine, he says, I'm also going to do some role play training on face-to-face. Right. Brian, what we all need, what we all want is to achieve this and this and this. Our year does not depend on this. The only thing we need to focus upon is on this, this, and this. So if ever you lose track during the year or during the month or whatever of what you're doing, what you're achieving, the only thing we need to focus upon is on this and this and this. This is our next step. These are, in this example, the 3 things we need to focus upon. Train them in phone calls, be very effective in phone calls, and be very effective in face-to-face meetings. The rest is a consequence. Goals become consequences. Objectives have to do with what we will be doing. All our business this year depends on these 3 red. Now you know what to do. You'll never lose track of your team and what we're doing. You can measure deviations, you can see whether or not we're achieving the monthly goals. That's all right with you. Now we know exactly what we will be doing. So often in companies, people commit to goals, but they don't know how to do what is in red. And what happens, CEOs and senior managers, they accept. Okay, I count on you. No, you cannot count on them. You can only count on them when they know exactly what they're going to do, how they're going to deliver it. If they tell me the red things and they really are doing it, I'm okay. As long as they assume the responsibility for objectives. That will change the company's life. So, leading or managing by goals is not very interesting. Of course, we need the goals to see what the sense of direction, where we're heading. Imagine a marathon runner running from the races from here to there, and she starts running very quickly from here to there. That will lead her nowhere. So we need the goals to know where we're heading. And then after knowing exactly the race is that way and not that way, hey Rosa, you need to rate the race that way, not that way. Oh, thank you. I was about to run that way. Great. It wouldn't serve anything. Now, since you know we're going that way, now we need to focus on objectives. Companies need more objectives than goals daily. Of course, they need goals to know where they're heading. Now, about goals. Some companies, some corporations don't like to set up goals. They like to stretch them. They like to stretch goals. And the board members and the senior management likes to, can you make it for 1 million? Let's push it to 1,200,000. Let's stretch the goals. Have you heard of this? Stretch goals? Right. Okay. So in companies, people ask us, what do you think of stretch goals? And we say to the top management, to the top leaders, if you stretch goals and you don't do any coaching, imagine stretching goals, and it's exactly what it is like stretching an elastic band. It has a certain resistance. If it's stretched too much, it can break. So how can we get to know the resistance of the elastic band? And I tell them, if you like stretch goals, I have absolutely no problem against it. as long as you practice coaching. And we've seen in the previous video that coaching is forgetting about the goals and bringing the focus on what we are doing. So in this video, forgetting about the goals and focusing on what we are doing. As long as we do coaching and know how far people went, how much people are spending, how much effort they are really devoting to this goals, we can know what is the resistance of the elastic band. Should we not do any coaching and the stretch goals can be counterproductive, the elastic band can explode in our hands. So yes, you can do it, as long as you compromise to do coaching to your people.